Guys, it's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today, and today we're going to be talking about why Thompson is the future of the Houston Rockets and is the face of this franchise. Thompson has been on a tear recently, and I guess that actually kind of fits pretty well since that's half of his nickname this year is him and Tari Eason. A new nickname for those two guys have been the Terror Twins, so I guess that's in his name for him to be an absolute terror like he's been recently in his last 10 games. I think it's really important to go all the way back to December 29th in a game that I think was probably one of the not so, one of the not so bright games for Thompson this year against the Miami Heat on December 29th when I'm not going to say he had a terrible game, but Thompson definitely didn't have his best game. Thompson finished with 5 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. It's definitely solid, but Thompson was not great offensively. He wasn't terrible. He could have been better. And why? If you're asking why I brought this up, at the end of the game, and also, this is also important. He was also a -4 in the plus minus, and he's usually in the plus. But look, that's not what's important. What's important is what happened in the game. Obviously, we know what happened with Tyler Hero, and I think Thompson got a little too frustrated, and who knows what Tyler Hero said to him. And the reason I bring this up is because Thompson got suspended 2 games, and he would miss the next couple games against the Mavericks and the Celtics. And so him not playing in those 2 games, coming back throughout those 2 games that he was suspended, Jabari Smith Jr. got injured. So Thompson comes back and Jabari's injured. So he's starting in the starting lineup. And this is where he gets his chance. And that's why the injury to Jabari Smith Jr., it's obviously tough that Jabari Smith Jr. has not been with the team for these last 10 games that Thompson has started, but it has benefited for them with Thompson, and I think the improvement he has had, and in the 10 games as a starter shows how good he's playing. He's averaging almost 20 points per game and 19.5 points per game, almost 12 rebounds per game at 11.6, almost 5 assists per game, almost 2 steals per game, and a little bit over 1 block per game. And he's been a real bright spot to this team. And this Rockets team has been a lot better as a team ever since his interest in the starting lineup. For instance, just beat the Celtics. He was a big part of that. He had 33 with 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. Then against the Cavs, beat the Cavs in Cleveland. And he was a big part of that. Had 23 points, 14 rebounds, and with that he had 10 assists. That is his first triple-double of the season, and his first of his career if you don't include a season finale triple-double where the Clippers weren't playing their main players, the Rockets weren't even playing their main players. I know they didn't play Van Vliet, Brooks, and a couple other players didn't play in that game. So had 23, 14, and 10 against the Cavs. Then against the Cavs on the 22nd in Houston, had 16 and 16 with 4 steals. Then against the Detroit Pistons, this wasn't a loss, but had 17 points with 6 rebounds and 5 assists and 3 steals. Didn't play against the Blazers, but that was a win. And then against the Kings, that was a loss, but he had 20 points with 10 rebounds and 5 assists. And then 11 points and 9 rebounds with 4 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks against the Nuggets in a win. Then against the Grizzlies in a win, he had an amazing 19-point game with 13 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 blocks. It's these type of defensive games for Thompson that really is mind-blowing. 5 blocks against the Grizzlies, 4 steals against the Cavs. It's those type of numbers, which is why it's these type of numbers that he brings, which makes you think he needs to be in the Defensive Player of the Year. I'm not saying he should win it. Maybe he should. We'll see. I think it's too early to judge off of that, but he needs to be in the conversation for the Defensive Player of the Year. So he's absolutely done a fantastic job ever since coming back from suspension and Jabari getting injured. Look, it's not like he was playing bad basketball before the suspension and before Jabari's injury? Obviously not. He was playing pretty good off the bench, but not playing near the basketball he's playing right now. I would say part of that probably has to do with him playing more minutes, and I think maybe his confidence has gone up quite a bit as well now that he's starting. I think it is really impressive to watch, and I think at times we've thought Jalen Green or Alperen Şengün are the face of the franchise. I think Şengün's going to be a big part of the way this franchise goes in the next couple of years, and I hope Jalen Green is. I think if he can figure out his inefficiency issues, he will be a big part of this franchise. But those two guys, Şengün and Jalen Green, have had efficiency problems in their career. And I don't think with Amen Thompson, the way he's been in the last 10 games, has been very efficient defensively and offensively. And I think he's been way more efficient than Şengün or Jalen Green has been. But also, here's the big thing. I think Amen Thompson has made those two guys better players. Even though Jalen Green and Şengün have had some bad games here and there over the last couple weeks since Amen joined the starting lineup, they've had some really good games. And Jalen Green and Şengün have played some great basketball since Amen Thompson's interest in the starting lineup. And for the first time in a while, I think those guys have played great basketball at the same time together. And I think Amen Thompson has been a big reason why Jalen Green and Şengün are playing better basketball together. So, look, I think the top three players in this Rockets team are Amen Thompson, Jalen Green, and Alperen Şengün. And it's hard for me to say who's number one because I think all three guys are great. But when one guy plays great basketball and makes the other two better, it makes you think Amen Thompson might be just the future of this Houston Rockets team. Absolutely really excited where he can go. I mean, this guy, keep in mind, this guy's only 21 years old as well. He has a lot of more developing to do. This is not it. This isn't the finished product. I think he's going to still continue to get better. And this year we've seen some improvements from the three-point shot. That's really one of the only weaknesses in his game. I think that three-point shot can continue to improve. He did knock down a three last night, went 1 for 2 from three. I wouldn't say he's a great three-point shooter yet, but I think he's gone from a bad three-point shooter to a decent three-point shooter. And I think if he can go from being a decent three-point shooter to above average three-point shooter or higher, that makes him a future superstar. If he can get that three-point shot going, we've seen it happen. Like I've seen people compare this guy to Ben Simmons. Yeah, this guy in his first season and a half has made twice the more threes Ben Simmons has made in his career. So look, this guy's nowhere near to Ben Simmons. And I think he's a better defensive player than Ben Simmons was, as good as Ben Simmons was defensively, and rebounding wise, I think he's a way better rebounder than Ben Simmons. This guy is 2 times the player Ben Simmons was, even in his prime with Philadelphia. He's gonna be a super stud for this Houston Rockets. I mean, he already is, but this is going to continue to get better for him and the team. And I feel bad for Jabari Smith Jr. because when he comes back from injury, I don't see how you can put this guy back on the bench. There's just no way. Maybe Jabari starts and Dillon goes to the bench. I don't know. But do you want to really break the flow? Because like this team is playing really well, records really well with Amen in the starting lineup. I think we've only lost like 2 games when he has been in the starting lineup since Jabari's injury. I know he lost to the Pistons against his brother, and then against the Kings. The Rockets have only lost 2 games since in the 10 games that Amen Thompson has been in the starting lineup, and one of those games against the Kings, the Rockets didn't even have Fred VanVleet, their point guard. So 8-2 with Amen Thompson in the starting lineup. One of those without Fred VanVleet, the point guard and one of the biggest leaders of this team. So I don't think the lineup is changing even when Jabari gets back. And look, Jabari has started every game of his career. Maybe we need to see what he can do off the bench. And I want to go over one more thing that this reminds me of. It reminds me of a way better version of Ryan Anderson and PJ Tucker in the 2017-18 season. We saw Ryan Anderson in the middle of the year kind of get a little bit banged up. He was the Rockets starting power forward. This was the year the Rockets were the 1 seed, and the Rockets went and decided to start PJ Tucker in replacement of Ryan Anderson, who was injured. And then we saw PJ Tucker played great basketball. He already played good basketball off the bench. It's not like this was a straight emergence. Like, where did this come from? Because he was playing good off the bench. But coming to the starting lineup, he played even better basketball. And even when Ryan Anderson came back and was healthy and, was good to go, came off the bench, PJ Tucker continued to start. That Rockets team continued to win games and had a 60-plus win season. They went 65-17 that year, and PJ Tucker was a big part of that. And I think Thompson is way better than PJ Tucker was for this Rockets team than what PJ was in the 2017-18 season. But I think it's a great comparison. And the Rockets never looked back to Ryan Anderson and always continued to go to PJ Tucker in that starting power forward slot. And I think this Rockets team will not look back to Jabari Smith Jr. and will continue to start Thompson even when Jabari's healthy. He's playing some great basketball, and I can't wait to see what he does tonight against the Atlanta Hawks. I think it's going to be another big night for Mr. Thompson. Let me know your thoughts on the video in the comment section, and peace out. Go Rockets.